Yo, what is up YouTube? I'm Blitz5, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Battleborn hero, Miko. So this is going to be a how to level up / Miko guide video. So if you're not that interested in Battleborn, I would maybe recommend skipping this video, but if you want to stick around and see the more intricate part of the game by leveling up and what skills you pick, then maybe stick around and check that out. But this is more for people that are into Battleborn or want to play Miko or want to improve their play style with Miko by watching this video and seeing what might be more helpful, because when you play Battleborn, the skills are a huge part of the game. You have your helix tree, and then when you level up to the max level, you get 4 or 5 like augmentation abilities, which are like mutant abilities where you get a third choice, and I have all of those unlocked with Miko. I've played a ton of Miko. I've won many games, and I think Miko is a great character. So let me get into that before I ramble on too much. So, well, first, let me start with saying that Miko, if you haven't played a lot of Battleborn, or if you haven't played Miko, is the only main healer in the game. So there's a couple other characters that have healing abilities, and the new character, Alani, has some healing abilities, but Miko's primary function in the game is as a healer, and secondary can do poison damage or fast attack speed damage with his auto attack ability. So that's Miko in a nutshell. Miko is neither a boy or a girl at this point. It's kind of gender neutral. They've hinted it's like a female character, but we don't know, so I'll just say it or a combination of all of those. Anyways, so here are the abilities. I don't want to spend too much time because I'm really expecting anybody that's watching this video to kind of know how to play Miko. But if not, I'll just run through the abilities really quickly, and then we'll get into how to build, how to level up the character. So basically, like I said, Miko's main function is as a healer. So each character in Battleborn has 2 main attack functions, which would be like right trigger, left trigger for Xbox. So your main attack function is you throw these knives, and then your passive, the molecular mycology, is that the knives poison enemies over time, dealing 48 damage over 2 seconds. Okay? So you have that. You can poison people with your auto attack. You shoot about like 5 to 7 of these in out of your hand. I want to say maybe like 4 to 6. It's probably 5, 1 for each finger, but I forget the exact amount. And then you have to reload. And you do a lot of damage with these, especially if you increase your auto attack speed and stuff like that. Then your talent is you have 2 abilities. And so I should say, sorry. So that's your auto attack ability, and then your left trigger ability, your secondary attack, isn't an attack. It's not an attack. It's your healing power, and that restores about 52 health per second, and that was nerfed from the original launch of the game, because if you are healing a tank that's in the front line, you pretty much become this overpowered combo where they can just be on the front line and you're just constantly replenishing their health, which was definitely a little overpowered. Then you have 2 abilities. That's Cloud of Spores, which is kind of like a grenade that you throw. It deals 134 damage, leaving behind a cloud of spores that slows all enemies. This is like one of the best abilities that you have as Miko, especially on the offensive, and you can augment this to do a lot of different things. It's basically a grenade that slows enemies. Then you have Biosynthesis, which is your left bumper ability if you're playing on Xbox, and this gives you roughly 200 health over 5 seconds, and your healing beam grants more health when you have that activated. And then your ultimate is you throw down a mushroom, and it heals everybody in the area of the mushroom. So you have 3 abilities for healing, 2 of them which go outward, really. And then you have your basically only offensive weapons are your knives and your grenade. So that's a good rundown of the character. So let's get on to the helix. So basically, when you're doing this leveling up system, obviously everything can vary here. Depending on the person and the gameplay, things are going to change. But let me say this before I start, that I think there's 3 or 4 different ways you can build Miko. There's 3 overall ways you can build Miko. First is fully support, which is probably one of the best ways to go because you can help your team a lot, especially if you have a lot of people that are like tanks, have a lot of health. Being full support is huge because then you can keep topping off their health. Second is a hybrid of the 2, where you do half support, half damage. And then the third is when you go full damage. But then when you go full damage, you can choose if you want to go like auto attack or more poisonous by making your abilities more poisonous, or if you want to focus on just putting out more damage over time and lowering your cooldowns. So you can see, if you're familiar with Battleborn, you know this. There's 10 abilities. I've unlocked all my mutation abilities. You get this as you level up through the game, which is 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12. I get a third choice, so that's 5 different ones out of the 10. I get a third choice now. I'm going to run through. I've played Miko many times. I've mained this character, so I have a great idea of what's beneficial in the game and when it comes in handy, and we can go through now without any further ado and check out the Helix system. So In this first selection here, I'm trying to think. If I read through all of these, it's going to take a while, but it might be beneficial for everybody who's watching this video to actually go through and explain, because I do have a lot of knowledge on this character, so we might as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say right away that I pick Breathe Deep 99.9% of the time, almost every time, because I really enjoy the benefit of this game. So, benefit of this ability. As an overall rule, to me, I don't value movement speed that much unless you're playing as a melee or assassin character. And in this game, because everyone has so much health and it takes a while to kill the enemy Battleborn, even if they're assassin like Marquise, the sniper, they still take a little while to kill them. And it's really easy to kind of run away and hide behind a rock or get healed by another character. So in this game, I think that CC, which is like crowd control or stunning people, is like super valuable. It's valuable in like any shooter or any MOBA. Crowd control is awesome, or any kind of ability that stops people from moving or not attacking. But in this game in particular, I feel like it has the highest value. And again, with Miko, Miko's not an assassin, so I feel like this ability has no really great benefit for the character. So this is while biosynthesis is active, which is your left bumper healing ability. Healing an ally with the healing beam increases Miko's movement speed. So they're basically saying that while you're using an ability and you're healing somebody, you get movement speed. So that ability only lasts for 5 seconds, and you need to be healing somebody, and you're only getting movement speed, which doesn't benefit you as a healer that much unless you're trying to catch up to your team. So I'd rather have 100% slow effect on the Cloud Spores any day of the week in any match, and it doesn't matter what character they are. Unless your team is playing with super fast characters and you want to keep up with them so you can heal them, but I really doubt that because, to be honest with you, no one plays that fast pace in this game. You can always catch up with them and heal them. So if I were you, always pick Breathe Deep. Then we have the skill level 2. This is on the left side, Regenerative Aura, and this is biosynthesis healing over time. Effects are extended to nearby allies. There's going to be a lot of tongue twisters in these level ups. Then you have Heal Thyself, basically why biosynthesis is active. Healing an ally with Miko's healing beam also heals Miko. So this is a really tough decision. I've played a ton of time with both to decide which one is better. So initially, I would say Heal Thyself seems better and is better most of the time. Because if you're going to be spending a lot of time healing, you might as well get your health back at a fast rate as well. So I've come to the conclusion that if you're going support or hybrid, going Heal Thyself is the way to go because you're not going to be doing a lot of damage. And in return, it's okay if you're not doing damage and healing instead. So basically, like, if you go full damage with Miko, if you spend all your time healing, you're wasting your time and your teammates' time. So if you're hybrid or support, you're going to be doing a lot of healing. And then this allows you to stay topped off and also in the battle. Like say you're in the middle of the battle and people are focusing you because you're the healer, but you're healing, you're still getting health back. So it's really nice. But if you go damage dealing, you want to be in the fight, dealing damage, using your auto attack, throwing your knives, and then you can hit biosynthesis, which is your second ability, and it heals everybody around you, which is really awesome. So I've noticed if you do damage and you're in the fight, go on the left side of here, the regenerative one. And if you're being support, then do Heal Thyself. And this is huge. I hope you guys got that concept. I think I explained it enough. So the third, this is where our first augmentation comes in. So on the left here, we have reduces the cooldown of all skills, 15% cooldown. On the right side, we have 50% reload speed. And on the middle, we have increases healing granted to allies by Miko's healing beam, 13 health per second. So to me, I think that the left side is completely pointless. As Miko, your abilities come up pretty quickly, and 15% cooldown time is basically like it's close to 10%. So if it's a minute, you're only getting 10 seconds off that. So I don't know. I feel like that the cooldowns, your left bumper and right bumper ability are almost always up. So the cooldown is not that important. Plus, you can get items and gear on your character that will improve the cooldown time. So to me, it's between the middle and the right side here. And again, if you're going offensive, you might want to consider the reload speed because that is the biggest weakness to Miko as a damage dealer is his reload speed or its reload speed because it's just so slow to reload and then it really makes a pause in the damage that you're doing, especially if someone's like getting away and you're just sitting there reloading. So if you're doing damage, go reload speed. If you're hybrid or support, go with the extra health so you can top people off faster and keep everybody alive under damage, which is really helpful and important. So then we have, is this number 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have Trail Spores, which leaves a bunch of spores while you throw your spore, which is interesting. Then you have Sticky Spores, which leaves the spores on the ground. Cloud Spore sticks on impact, bursting when enemies enter its blast radius. So you can throw more than one spore, because most of the time you can only throw one, and they'll actually stick on the ground for 60 seconds. So this is a great ability. And then you have the right side, which is if you hit somebody, they're actually stunned. They're slowed normally, but if you actually hit them, they're stunned. So this one's really tough. When you don't have the augmentation, it's debatable which one you want to go to, because it's nice, the Trail Spores, to have more radius effect of slow, especially if you're not accurate. If you're not an accurate player, then you probably want to go Trail Spores because it leaves them everywhere. But if you're more accurate and you're good, I do a pretty good job hitting people with grenades. I always joke around that like I'm John Elway. I'm well, you could say Peyton Manning, and I just nail people with these grenades, or Tom Brady, whoever you want to say. And so I like going Spore Shock because it can really screw up another team. But what I want to say is that this is really dependent on who you're playing against as well. So for example, if you're playing against Wrath, who is the melee character that has the red swords, and when he ults, he spins around, you can actually stop his ultimate by stunning him. And he's one of the most overpowered ults in the game. So if you're playing somebody that you know needs to be shut down, or there's an assassin on their team or main damage dealer, you almost owe it to your team to always go Spore Shock, because then you have the chance of stopping their ult, and it could really change the tide of the fight and help you guys win. So for me, I'm usually picking between the Sticky Spores or the Spore Shock. If someone needs to be stunned on the enemy team, if they have a Wrath or Wraith, however you pronounce it, on the other team, then I'm going Spore Shock. If not, I go Sticky Spores, because you can throw these out on the map and they won't blow up until someone runs over them, because usually someone will hit them by the 60-second mark. And I would definitely mix in between the two, depending on who you're playing against. But overall, if you don't know what to do, the middle augmentation here is great, and definitely gives you the most chance to do the most damage, when the one on the right has more utility to stun people. Okay, now number 5. We have, on the left side here, Toxic Transfusion. A portion of damage dealt to enemy health by molecular mycology is returned to Miko's health. So I really don't see the value of this, because you have healing abilities. You can heal yourself. Even if you're full damage, you can still heal yourself. So the only way I could see you doing this is if you're full damage and you want some kind of lifesteal, but I don't recommend it. I would always go with the middle or the right side on this. So the middle is any damage dealt by Miko applies molecular mycology's poison effects. So your auto attack already does poison. So what this is saying is that if you hit somebody with your grenade, they automatically get poisoned. And if you make your ultimate do damage, they get poisoned. So the persuasive poison is more if you're making all your abilities do damage. So like I said, if you're picking the damage, if you're going damage with Miko, then the middle is more beneficial. But if you're a support or hybrid, then you're only adding poison to your grenade, which is completely useless. So then I would recommend going all the way to the right, which is Pandemic, which is your poison effect spread to nearby enemies. So if there's, it does 50 damage over 2 seconds. So if that can spread to everybody, then you're doing 50 damage to each person that's nearby the enemy. So that could be, anywhere from like 100 to 200 additional damage that you're doing to the enemy team when you hit them with your auto attack. So this is the best to me, Pandemic. But if you are going damage with your ultimate and you're throwing a lot of grenades, then Persuasive Poison can be beneficial. And sometimes I do use that one. Here we go. We have 6. So we're a little bit more, we're just getting past halfway here. Sorry, this might be a longer video, but like I said, I played a lot of Miko, so I have a lot of experience with what works and what doesn't. So we have the left side again is Probiotics, which increases biosynthesis health effects, plus 15% healing. Again, you're only going to want to use this if you're using this ability. If you're on the second skill tree, if you're doing it where your left bumper, your regenerative aura, your biosynthesis heals everyone around you, then using number 7 or number 6 is great because it increases the healing for everybody around you. But if you're going full support, you're definitely going to want to do the middle augmentation. This is another 25 health per second. So then you can just be putting out so much health. If you have a Montana on your team, or a Shane Orox, or an Atticus that's just on the front line, or El Dragon, or whatever his name is, then this is such a great ability. It's amazing because you can just keep them topped off. Or if you're just going damage, you're interested in that, just go Cloud of Spores. So this one has a lot of range depending on how you're building. It's just like, are you going full attack? Then you can pick the left or the right, or you can go more health. This one, either way, all of these aren't that much. The middle augmentation here is the biggest one because it's plus 25%. So that is, to me, the biggest leap. But a lot of times, because I'm pretty offensive and I like to throw a lot of grenades, and I usually pick the stun or the one where I can throw more than one grenade. I usually get the 15% damage or the health. That's what I'm normally picking. Then we have number 7, fight or flight. Briefly increases movement speed. Again, I really don't care about movement speed. I can heal myself. Normally, I can run away. In a lot of games, I don't die as Miko or only die like 1 or 2 times, so I really don't see the necessities for movement speed. Again, one of Miko's weaknesses is his attack speed and reload speed, so having Blade Slinger is amazing. Definitely recommend getting that ability almost every single time. No matter what your build is, I recommend getting Blade Slinger. It's kind of like number 1. I would just always go Breathe Deep, and on number 7, I would always go Blade Slinger, just in my opinion. Then we have 8. Using the Healing Beam on allies reduces biosynthesis cooldown. And then we have on the other side, increases the duration of biosynthesis effects for 5 seconds. So exactly, if you've gone with this biosynthesis build where it heals your allies and you've gone down that side of the tree where you're using it and it's healing everybody, and then, where is it? This one increases biosynthesis self-healing effects, and you already picked the left side of number 2 where it extends to nearby allies. Then on number 8, you want to go on the right side here and increase that duration so more people around you are getting health. But if not, in every other situation, you're going to pick Biosynergy any other time because you might as well get the cooldown. Number 8 to me is one of the weaker abilities or weaker skills that you could level up in the game. I never really care too much about this unless, like I said, I'm going with that biosynthesis build. That ability is okay. Either way, pretty underwhelming here, number 8. Okay, number 9. This is a pretty big one and kind of hard to decide between. So we have Spore Storm, which enlarges Cloud of Spores area effect. So basically, your area effect of the grenade is increased by 50%. So that's awesome, especially if you're going for, just more slow effects. And it just increases the area of people that are slowed. And then on the right side, it lingers longer for 6 seconds. So this is more like a question, are you being accurate with your grenades? Then go for more duration, right? Because then it's going to be in that area for a greater amount of time. If you're having a hard time hitting people in the right spot, or you're missing where all the minions are, then go for the area effect radius. Or if the enemy team is team fighting more in one area, you might want to have a bigger area effect so everybody in the fight is getting hit with the slow and the poison. It's kind of a tough debate here. A lot of times I like going for the area effect even though I'm accurate because people move on. In 6 seconds, the team fight has probably moved on from the area. So if I had to recommend one of these, I would go Spore Storm just because the fights and minions are always continuously moving, so I'd rather have a bigger area effect than a longer duration in one spot. That's just my opinion. Then, last but not least, and what a way to end this last augmentation so far, to me, sucks, but we'll go through it anyways. So we start with the 2 normal choices, which is Bark Skin, increases the maximum health of Fungus Among Us, and it also gives 200 maximum mushroom health. So, that's the actual what it gives you, sorry. But to me, all of these suck. All of these healing mushroom augmentations are really awful. And I'll tell you why. One, because, let's just read through them all. So the one on the left gives the mushroom extra health, 200 extra health. The one in the middle reduces the cooldown for Fungus Among Us, 50% cooldown time, so you get it twice as much, but it reduces the health by 214. And then all the way on the right, we have Fungus Among Us deals damage over time to enemies in range, 170 damage per second. So on the left here, the mushroom, just so you guys know, if you haven't played Miko, when you throw out a mushroom, it's really easy to kill this thing from far away, especially if the enemy team has a sniper or like Oscar Mike with a augmentation on his assault rifle. He can just kind of snipe this from across the way and just kill it, and there it goes. It's out in the open. It's really easy to destroy. So getting the extra health is nice, but for this to be successful most of the time, you normally have to put your mushroom behind a wall or behind a pillar and then tell your teammates like, here it is. Normally you don't throw it out in the battlefield unless you've equipped Vicious Strain and it's doing damage. So to me, it doesn't really matter what the health is because I'm always trying to hide it anyways because it's never lasting that long. So you can go with the middle augmentation, but like I said, I get this ultimate all the time. I never feel like it's always up or it's up so often that I don't know if I need it twice as often. But because I hide it, it would be nice to have it up twice as often. So it's okay. And like I said, I've used it in the past. I just don't know how beneficial it is. I think all of these are pretty underwhelming. So most of the time, unfortunately, I just go with Vicious Strain because if you're in a team fight and your team is kind of winning or you're doing okay or there's no one around you, then putting down just a health mushroom is only going to help you. And you still get health from the Vicious Strain. So let me rephrase that in a way. So basically, a lot of times, if you're fighting one-on-one, you're going to use every ability you can, right? If I'm fighting somebody one-on-one, I'll throw down the mushroom and start fighting them over the mushroom. So I'm getting health. But it doesn't really matter how much extra health the mushroom has in that moment because the person's only auto-attacking me. So why would I go with Bark Skin when I could go with Vicious Strain? Because if they step into the mushroom, they're going to take damage. Again, if we're in a team fight and I'm healing my team with my beam, then I don't really need my mushroom. And the mushroom is pointless to throw down. I mean, it's not pointless. It can heal my team. But why not? They're in a team fight. The people aren't going to focus the mushroom right away. We're fighting each other as hard as we can. So why not have the damage ability on it where it's doing damage over time, and then maybe they focus the mushroom, but then that gives us time to shoot the enemy. So it's kind of theoretical here. You have to think about like how it's going to be used in the game. But I would recommend going Vicious Strain, or if you're more the type that you're going to go back and hide your mushroom and just constantly heal up your team, then go in the middle here and try that out. Anyways, you'll see when you play Miko, the mushroom can be kind of underwhelming because a lot of people don't know how to stand in it. It's killed very quickly, even with the extra health. Just something I've noticed in the game. It's just an unfortunate thing. So it's better off if you're playing with your team, hiding behind a rock or doing it at choke point. Like say if you're trying to siege the enemy's base, if you put it at the wall before the enemy's base, then your team can keep kind of falling back to the mushroom, getting health, sieging, falling back, getting health, sieging, and the mushroom is hidden away from getting killed. And that's the best way to use the mushroom in the game. So assuming this video is pretty long now, I don't have the timer on here, but this is how I recommend building up Miko. If I could suggest a build, if you have a lot of damage dealers on your team and a lot of tanks, I recommend going support or hybrid support. If your team is lacking a lot of damage, then it's really good to go damage, but then make sure that you keep healing people along the way. But definitely focus on the whole poison and grenade aspect. It's huge. It can make you win a lot of team fights. If you hit somebody with a grenade and they're stunned for 2 seconds, you can just tee off on their head with your auto attacks and everybody else's abilities. And that's won me a lot of fights and a lot of games that way. So pay attention to who's on your team, who's on the enemy's team when you're picking these abilities. Get to know them so you don't have to spend time reading them in the game. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure you guys support your team. Play some Miko, play some different characters, and have fun playing Battleborn. As always, I'm Blitz5, and thank you for watching. Peace out.